yourselves, and as for the academic side, maybe you could tell me about your background, your credentials, qualifications, and what you're doing here.
Okay, I'm Sunma Vikram Singh, the Deputy Principal of SCBT. Actually, let's come to my background. So, I have completed my Masters in Computer Engineering in 1990. And afterwards, I have joined with the National University.
Which one?
Sabaragamu University of Sri Lanka. I was a lecturer of Sabaragamu University for about 10 years. Afterwards, I joined with ACBT as a visiting staff member. From year 2000, I was here as visiting staff member. In 2010, I joined as a permanent staff member and got the position called Deputy Director of Academic Affairs. Then recently I have been promoted as the Senior Deputy Principal of the college. Then the experience that I am having regarding the academic area is massive, because as a lecturer, then program coordinator in a national university level, then afterwards coming to ACBT, I got a lot of opportunities to teach many subjects, IT subjects, then some subjects related to management area also, depending on the requirements.
So management also, you have a master's in that area?
No, I haven't done it, but based on the IT area, for instance, information management, that's all. It's basically no IT plus management. Security, that sort of subjects also I was covered, but teach here at ACBT. That is my background. Basically, having very good understanding about the academic programs that we are conducting here, with the support of Edith Cowan University and PIBT, Berkeley Institute of Business and Technology.
Alright, and how about you?
Hi, my name is Srini Bandara and I am the marketing manager at ACBT. To be honest, I don't have qualifications in the area of marketing. I have done my bachelor's in law and I've done my attorney's at law. So
Fantastic. That's definitely something to be proud of. So how many universities are currently affiliated to? You mentioned two.
We're affiliated with Edith Cowan University of Western Australia, and we are also affiliated with PIBT, that's Perth Institute of Business and Technology.
Okay. So just two affiliations.
That's it, yes.
No, the thing is actually those are affiliations, direct affiliations.
Yeah, I was talking about
direct affiliations.
And what was the reason for choosing these two affiliations? The hundreds you could have selected.
No, the thing is actually we are ACBT is under Navitas. Navitas is a global educational service provider who's having about more than 100 institutes which are affiliated to different universities in UK, USA and Australia. Initially, ACBT was affiliated to PIBT. The PIBT was the first institute of the Navitas group. So the Navitas group gradually developed while adding new institutes and the universities to Navitas. But initially we had the relationship with PIBT and the Edith Cowan University. That's the starting point that we had.
Okay. In offering these foreign programs, what is the procedure and process of quality assurance that you adopt at a local level, not the international level, at a local level?
Now the thing is, all our programs we are getting from Australia.
So you will have the Australian quality assurance.
Yes.
Now I'm talking about from, and of course whenever there is a foreign partnership, that university would have quality assurance. But from Sri Lanka, as the institute that is administering the programs, what is your quality assurance?
No, the thing is now locally, in order to program, we basically followed the guidelines given by Edith Cowan University and Perth Institute of Business and Technology, PIBT. So we don't have to depend on any local qualification authorities or quality assurance authorities. But in Sri Lanka there are several quality assurance authorities available, but still we are not having any affiliations with them, or they are coming and doing any auditing in our programs. But in future there is a possibility after expanding our programs. For the time being, all these quality assurance things are handled by our partner institutes.
Okay. Right. And what are the different levels of programs that you offer?
Yeah, we have many programs actually. We have programs from like the pre-foundation, that's for students who have not done very well in their O-levels, to the foundation, which could actually be a direct entry route to a bachelor's even. And from there we have a bachelor's programs. We have a bachelor's of business and a bachelor's of computer science, and we've also introduced a new diploma in engineering studies, and thereafter we have an MBA. And we have many majors in our bachelor's, which is quite unique compared to many other colleges. We have majors in marketing, management, international business, hospitality and tourism management, and so on and so forth.
All right, thank you. And how about this foundation, not pre-foundation, right, which I believe is a substitute for the conventional GC O-level, would that be correct?
Not exactly. You can't really call that a substitute, because a student who has not done their O-levels would not be, we would not allow that student to enter the pre-foundation.
Foundation?
The foundation would still not be a substitute for O-levels, but the thing is, when it comes to the pre-foundation, it's for students who have not really done well. They would have attempted their O-levels, but for students who have not managed to get their minimum qualification. For example, they would have failed their mathematics or their English. So for students like that, it's a resort for students like that to continue their education.
Okay. And then that would be the pre-foundation.
The pre-foundation.
And then the foundation?
The foundation is really an entry route to, towards tertiary education or towards those qualifications.
So that's a substitute maybe for A-level program?
We don't want to say that those two programs are substituting either A-levels or O-levels.
Basically, for someone who does not do the A-levels, is it an option?
It is an option. It's
yes.
definitely an option, yes.
Alright. And how many subjects would a student have to do at either the pre-foundation or foundation
The
level?
pre-foundation, we have around 6 subjects that a student will have to complete in order to achieve that award. And when it comes to the foundation, there will be 8 subjects, and there are 4 streams in the foundation. We have business, IT, engineering, and science. So there will be 8 subjects to complete.
Okay. What would be the advantages of doing either of these courses instead of doing the O-level or the A-level?
Now, one thing is our O-level and A-level, they are basically the orientation of those programs not towards the university education. Because when you go to the university, sometimes you are not going to apply the things that you have studied in your O-levels or A-levels. Right? But in our pre-foundation and the foundation, we develop everything by looking at the requirements of the university programs. For instance, we discuss in our foundation program communication subjects. We basically teach children how to handle referencing, then how to do summarizing, a lot of things that they need in order to manage their university education very well.
Okay, so those would be things that I would normally learn in an A-level, let's say English class, you would be doing in your foundation program, like referencing and summarizing.
But I don't think that this sort of things are available in our A-level curriculum.
Alright.
So that is our focus.
Okay. These are developed by ACBT or by your poly partners?
They are developed now. Pre-foundation is developed by us.
Okay.
But University Foundation Program is developed by Perth Institute of Business and Technology, PIBT. So we take the program from PIBT.
And for the pre-foundation, how is the quality assurance done?
Quality assurance, we are having our faculty board. Then there's a separate committee to handle pre-foundation program. So every semester we gather and go through the outcomes of the previous semester and check what are the shortcomings of the current program. And this time also what we did, we have updated the program according to the market requirements. So our target is to develop entrepreneurs. That is the what's called this theme of our pre-foundation. Because we want to see a person who can start a small enterprise, a small business on his own by after completing this program.
Okay. And I think another, like adding to that, another advantage would be the time factor, because nowadays, I mean, a lot of students are very keen on, getting a qualification really fast in order to, gain their experiences to everything, so that they could, proceed in their life journey or career ladder really fast. But the thing is, that's not really, if you're planning on doing your A-levels, you probably have to wait for about 3 years to complete it. Whereas our foundation is just 8 months.
Okay.
So I suppose that would speed up their progress as well.
Okay.
The other thing is we introduced this pre-foundation as a CSR project.
Okay.
Because we feel it is important to give an opportunity for everyone to study. Because due to various reasons, sometimes the children, they don't get an opportunity to continue their education.
Yes.
There are some social issues, financial issues. Sometimes they are learning, in the sense, learning methods are different. It is not basically backed by the school education. So therefore, we have decided to give everyone an opportunity and develop a path for them to somehow enter into university education. Late learners also there. So we are addressing all these categories.
Okay. And what about for undergraduate students? There is so much more than mere studies. When I was undergraduate, I was involved in drama and music and so many things. And these are the things that actually make an undergraduate program what it is. It's not just sitting in the class and studying. So what are the extracurricular activities? What are the facilities that you are offering?
Actually, we do offer, we don't want our students to be, just focused completely on studies or whatever. We want them involved in a lot of extracurricular activities. So we do have many sports teams at ACBT. We have a very good basketball team. They've been winning a lot of championships and trophies recently, from the Inter-Institute basketball championships to the KDU.
Where would they practice?
We do actually, what we would do is we would hire a court in order for them to practice. So we actually facilitate all of that so that we could have our students, achieve. And, it's a sense of achievement as well for them, and, it's quite rewarding for them as well. So, and the other thing is we have many other teams as well. Apart from the basketball team, we have rugby, we have football, we have singing category things, and then we have dancing groups and things like that, and we have cricket.
Okay.
So yeah, we do have quite a lot of sports, and we get students to actively get involved in these sports.
Okay. Sounds very interesting.
Yeah.
What are other value-added features available to your students?
Sorry?
What are the value-added features
Yeah.
available to your students?
Yeah, actually what we do is we have these things called career days that we have every 2 semesters to basically help students to build a career at a very early stage. While they're doing their degree, we would conduct a thing like a career day where we would get a lot of companies, a lot of blue chip companies involved, and we would have the HR departments coming to ACBT on that specific day to come and interview students who would be interested in getting involved in such a company. You know, they could face interviews with, you know, their updated CVs and all of that. So, and on top of that, we do have a lot of guest lecturers from all over, even from ECU, to come and you know, sort of give career guidance to students and career counseling and things like that, so that, you know, we would have an upper hand when it comes to things like that, because a lot of students expect things like that from you know, colleges like this.
Okay.
So we do try to help students in that way.
Yes. In addition to that, from the academic side, we have signed agreements with several Australian universities. After completing our foundation diploma, students, if they are really interested, they can go to those universities and continue. In the sense, they get the full exemptions for our program. So articulations that we have already established between several universities.
Could you name a few?
For instance, not for
Yeah, we have QUT, Queensland University of Technology. Then we have La Trobe. Yeah, we have quite a few like that.
Yes.
Okay. So QUT, La Trobe,
Canberra.
Yes.
All right. Now getting back to the pre-foundation, who administers these programs? Who would be on the lecture panel?
So basically all our programs are administered by our academic department.
Okay.
So there we have a set of people to manage each and every aspects related to academic administration. We have examination manager, student services manager, student welfare manager. Then I am there to handle everything like overall operations. Deputy principal is there. We have a team, and in addition to that, for every unit there is a unit coordinator.
Right.
Unit coordinator. The unit coordinator's duty is to look after the unit.
Right.
Then we are having the meetings with the unit coordinators every month in order to see the current status or any.
My question was, who are the lecturers, the academics who are on the panels?
Lecturers.
What would their credentials be?
Now in pre-foundation program, actually we have two categories.
Okay.
Mature category and in the sense young lecturers and mature lecturers. The reason is, now when it's come to pre-foundation, we always feel we should give them some understanding about the subject using the senior academic staff of the college.
Right.
So therefore we develop this sort of structure. Senior staff member of the college is handling the unit coordinator's role, and him several junior staff members are there.
Just a clarification,
Yes.
by young lecturers and mature lecturers, are you talking about age-wise, experience-wise?
Experience-wise, age-wise, qualifications-wise.
Okay, so that could be a 60-year-old who has just started lecturing and he'd be a young lecturer.
No, the thing is, now in our pre-foundation there are about a couple of lecturers. They are our graduates.
Right.
That is another approach that we are using. We select the good
Right.
students from our previous batches. Then what we do, we recruit them.
Okay.
Then they
So
regarding.
you only need an undergraduate degree to teach a pre-foundation? You only need an undergraduate degree to teach pre-foundation?
No, sometimes we.
Otherwise, what else would your students have? You said you take your best students.
No, they're not the students, actually graduates.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what I'm asking is, now your best students who graduate,
Yes.
would they only need an undergraduate program to teach your pre-foundation?
But what do you mean by undergraduate? In the sense undergraduate qualification?
Yes. So they'd only be having a BA or a BSc or something like that.
Yes, that is enough. Because now in order to work with them, we appoint a senior staff member who is having PhD qualification or master's qualification. Therefore, we don't have to saturate everyone with.
And then at degree level, who would be the
Degree level, the rule is basically all lecturers, they are with masters.
Okay.
That's a requirement. requirement basically stipulated by PIBT and Eric Cohen University. And year 3, the most of the lecturers we try to have with PhD qualification. There are about 4 to 5 lecturers. All are Eric Cohen University approved lecturers. They can't teach without the approval from Eric Cohen University. There is another quality assurance system available.
Brilliant. And for the MBA?
MBA also the same thing, because
Same, what would they be?
no, either PhD or master's level.
So a master's level lecturer who has only a master's can teach a master's?
No, that is not like that.
Then how is it?
There are a lot of people who are lecturers who are having master's level qualification plus industry qualification, professional qualification. They are having very good understanding about what is happening in the industry. So we have that sort of a lecture panel. They are well experienced.
Alright. How many PhD level lecturers do you have in your
There are about 6.
out of?
We are having about 50 faculty members.
Okay, so out of your 50 faculty members, you have 6 PhDs. And they are full-time here?
No, we don't have full-time. We have only 4 staff members full-time. All others are part-time, visiting basis.
So out of your 50, you have only 4 full-time lecturers. Everyone else is
Others are visiting lecturers.
So just to clarify that one more time, 6 out of 50 lecturers are PhD holders.
Yes.
Then how many PhD holders are fully committed on a full-time basis for course development?
The course development, actually, we are not doing course development here because we get
apart from the pre-foundation.
pre-foundation.
So for pre-foundation?
Pre-foundation, actually, recently we have course review, but then 2 PhD level lecturers there.
For on a full-time basis?
Not full-time basis, they all are actually visiting basis.
On a full-time basis?
Full-time basis, we don't have any lecturers for this pre-foundation.
Not, okay, forget about lecturers, then just for development and to make sure that everything is going well?
Yeah, we are there to handle it.
But no PhD holders?
No. You don't have to have PhD holders there. Right? Correct?
That is entirely up to you.
Yeah, that's right. We don't have to have the PhD holders. PhD holders are there to manage the course development, course review. If there are any issues, then we can talk to them and get their advices.
Alright. Okay. Then, is there anything else that you are looking forward to here at SCBT? Anything in the pipeline?
Yeah, actually, we are about to open our new Goa branch. That will happen within the next month or so. Like that will be fully established and all of that, so that we could have a branch in Goa for those students who are living in the southern area of the country.
That's lovely.
Yeah, and at the moment we have Colombo as well as Kandy as well. So, and we are planning on introducing a few more courses, a few more majors, a few more variations in order to, make sure that we are able to feed the students with whatever their desires are. Like
any new academic streams that you are planning to introduce?
Actually, recently we have introduced several new degree programs.
Yeah.
Tourism and hospitality management.
Yes, I will.
Yeah,
And
international.
anything else coming up?
Then we are, for the time being, those are the programs which are running in our system. So in future, there is a possibility of introducing cyber security under IT, then information systems, because we can see there is a huge demand for those areas.
And our current master's program is restructured as well. So there are 2 specializations available in international business and information systems as well.
So maybe we will put your website with all this information so students can get further details.
Of course, yeah.
Alright, then thank you so much.
Thank you so much.